So as a sales rep, one of the worry or one of the concern, one of the challenges you have is like, man, I feel like I'm spinning my wheel every day. I go into work, I'm trying to make this thing work, trying to get some deals, trying to progress, but I'm not going anywhere. If that is the mentality you have, if this is a state that you're in, don't worry, I have been there. Cole has been there. But on this episode, he's going to tell you how he broke through. He's going to give you a blueprint, a framework that you can follow, and you can utilize every single day of your sales career. It's amazing. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have the one and only Cole Gordon. Now, if you probably heard that name before. Cole has he's like all over the internet, and he helps sales teams and sales leaders and sales reps. And he's gonna tell you how he does this. But mostly, you find sales reps who are trying to improve their game. They need some training. He offers that. Maybe they're looking to find a next big job that's going to give them some great results. He offers that. And maybe you're a sales leader trying to figure out how you can grow your team, but you want to do it fractionally. He offers that and help you out with that too. So he brings a lot of wisdom to the table. Cole was a quota-carrying sales rep as well. That he improved his skill, learned a lot, applied to things, saw results, and like many of us, is sharing that wisdom, parting that wisdom to others. They do sponsor this podcast, and I believe in the great things that they have to offer. I think you're going to find some benefit from that as well. If this is your first time listening to one of our podcasts or watching one of our videos, please go ahead and subscribe.
So the first one is pain. Okay. Now pain is really a problem. Like it's the belief that the prospect has a problem or a gap from where they are now to where they want to be. Now, there's two types of problems. There's an actual pain. So think about back pain. Think about having a headache. Think about being in debt. Those are all pains. They're very away from, they're moving away from a problem. They're trying to fix like an existing problem with serious consequences, or, relatively serious consequences, I suppose. The other side is an unfulfilled desire. So an unfulfilled desire doesn't mean they necessarily have like an existing pain, but what it does mean is that they want something and they're not there yet. There's a gap between where they are now to where they want to be. So like I might be at 10% body fat, but I want to get down to 5% body fat for the summer. I might be making 20 million a year in my company, but I want to make 100 million a year and I need X, Y, and Z process to do so. Are any of those things, am I in a dire situation? Am I in dire straits? No, but I have an unfulfilled desire. Does that make sense? So there's two things. And unfulfilled desires tend to be more towards paradigm, and pains tend to be more away from paradigm. Now, it's not black and white. There's towards and away within each of those. But one is more away from, one is more towards, right? So that's the first one. The second belief is doubt, right? And so doubt is they have to believe there's an inability to fix the problem on their own, or it would just make more sense to, invest obviously in the product or service, because they're going to get there faster, it's going to be less energy, it's going to be less time, it's going to be a shortcut, whatever, right? So it's either that they can't do it on their own, / it's just more efficient to do it through said product, offer, business, whatever they're buying, Yeah. So like for instance, if I'm buying aspirin, I could, maybe there's a meditation technique that takes 30 minutes that gets rid of every headache. Right? But, okay, that works. And I might believe 100% I could do that, but I might just still take the aspirin because I don't have to do anything. It's less energy, it's less time, and it's just like, it's easier, right? So that's like a kind of a crude example, but that's doubt, right? So it's not like that when you establish doubt, I think a lot of people think they need to get the prospect to throw up their hands and they're like, oh, I can't do it. I can't figure it out. But it's really just the belief that going through your route is going to be more efficient, faster, more time effective. I sell sales recruiting. People typically they might believe that they can really find the same recruits on their own, but they just want to do it faster and have less energy involved. And they're just like, yeah, I'm just going to hire somebody to do it for me because that's less bandwidth for me, right? That's why most people do done-for-you services. So the next one is cost. Cost eliminates, I want to think about it. Let's circle back in a month. Let's circle back in 2 months. Let's circle back in 3 months. I don't think this project is a priority for this quarter. I need to, it could be, I need to see a proposal, I need to speak to some of your clients, like anything that's essentially a delay.
Yeah.
Is a lot of times cost. Cost is one of the hardest ones. It's probably the two most important. Cost and then the last one we're gonna cover. So cost is they have to believe that the consequences of staying where they're at are greater past a significant threshold than the consequences of investing the time, energy, money, effort, reputation, all that stuff into buying your product or service. Right? So it's similar to how like when Tony Robbins, when he wants people to change at UPW, he takes people through what's called the Dickens pattern, to where they're like essentially imagining a behavior that's not serving them in their life, and then they like expand it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years of what their life's gonna be like if nothing changes.
Yeah.
And then they bring that pain to the present moment, and that's what allows them that change. Because essentially they're anchoring in so much cost back to the present moment. So part of your sales call needs to be developed to help them see the second, third, fourth, fifth order consequences of leaving said problem unsolved. In other words, what's gonna happen if nothing changes?
Yeah.
Okay. It's also cost, a lot of that times, is understanding why now. And you can't ask those questions, by the way. Hey, John,
like blatant out. Why now?
Yeah.
Why don't you
want
want to change
what's
now?
going to happen if nothing changes? Or well, John, why now? Like you can't. People do that, and look. Like you might have some unsophisticated prospect who will say that, but like these questions need set up in a certain way, and maybe if we have time at the end, we can cover how that can happen. The next one is desire. Desire is the belief that fixing the gap or fixing the problem will yield a compelling payoff. It's the belief that on the other side of the problem is Heaven Island. Okay? So essentially, you see how so far, doubt is the inability to fix the problem, cost is the consequences of not fixing the problem, desire is a compelling payoff of fixing the problem. They're all predicated on the problem. So you can only get all of these if you know the problem.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Or the gap.
Sort of.
Right. So desire, essentially I think a lot of people don't really have trouble with this one. But if you don't have desire, they might believe your solution could fix their problem, but they just don't know where they're going to end up. They don't have any vision, right? They don't have any certainty of what's going to happen once they implement X, Y, and Z. But a lot of times by understanding the pain, you by nature understand the desire. But I like to count it as an extra belief, because it's not enough just to understand the surface level desire. We want to know essentially the data point, we want to know the vision, and we want to know we basically, if it's a business thing, I call it the non-monetary goal.
Yeah.
But essentially, we want to, anytime we're painting Heaven Island, we want to assign some sort of data point to it. If they're buying dating, how many dates are they going on a week? If they're buying a reduction, better supply chain thing for their e-commerce business, like what is going to be the increase of efficiency and how is that going to lead to the bottom line? Support. So that's people around them, close to them, stakeholders in the decision. Do they support them in fixing the problem? Right? And it's very, very key here. Not necessarily doing the product, but fixing the problem, because that's what we want to establish. Is if you're a man and you're getting weight loss and you want to lose weight. Let's actually use business because that's probably a more pertinent example.
Sure.
Let's say you're a man, you want to start a business and grow a business, and you're buying a program to help you do that. This is not exactly how I ask the question, but essentially I want to ask questions to see, is your wife supportive of you starting a business? Not, is your wife supportive of you working with me? Because now I'm taking the focus off of the problem and onto the product. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm very, very much asking, is she supportive of you, quitting your 9-to-5 and starting this business? So I'm asking stuff like that to see, is she supportive? Or if it's a business partner and let's say a business is having trouble with leads, okay? And one business partner is not on the call because he's not the marketing sales business partner, right? So I'm gonna see, okay, great. Is X, Y, and Z business partner supportive? Does he also think the biggest constraint in your company right now is also the leads? What does he think about this? Does he know you're on this call? What would he know? What would he say if he knew you're on this call? Stuff like that, right? The next belief is money. That's the resources and willingness to fix the problem. So like they physically have to have the resources. Like if you're talking to a director and they have a certain amount of budget and there's no wiggle room on the budget, well then like, and your thing's way over the budget, they just might not have the resources, period.
Yeah.
Right? A different example, that's more like higher end B2B. A different example is like if you're selling a 5K health and fitness program and the folk you're selling to is making $2,000 a month and has a $400 credit score or 400 credit score and $1,000 in the bank and your program's 5K. Look, okay, yeah, sure. Maybe they could sell their car or they could, borrow money from a relative or something. But more than anything, I would consider that as not having the resources.
Yeah.
So while that's more of a condition, not necessarily a belief, but remember, I'm kind of executing these during the call so I can move towards an objectionless close. The other one is willingness. So willingness means they might have the resources, but are they willing to invest that amount of money to solve that type of problem? So what happens is sometimes, this doesn't really happen with businesses, but let's take a lawyer making 250 grand a year. I was coaching a dating coach on sales, and he was selling a lawyer making 250 grand a year on fixing his dating life. So obviously he had the money for a 5K program, he makes 250K a year, but when presented with the offer for 5K to fix his dating life, he said, I'm not gonna spend that amount of money on something like this. So he had the resources, but he was not willing. Now, here's the deal. Why does the lack of willingness occur? It occurs from number one, cost. And number two, remember in the desire part where I said you gotta attach it to another area of their life? It's those two things that will install willingness. And so the last one is called trust. And I do think certain things like trust in you, trust in the company are important. Jordan Belfort talks about those. But what I'm really talking about when I say trust here is trust in the methodology. So they must believe that your solution is the simultaneous explanation of why everything they tried in the past has failed and why this is going to be different. So by the nature of you explaining what you do, they're gonna understand why they haven't gotten the result in the past and why they've been stuck and why this is gonna be different. So let's say I was selling you ClickFunnels.
Sure.
Okay? Russell Brunson, when you see him sell ClickFunnels, does he talk about ClickFunnels? No. I mean, he kind of does, but he doesn't. What does he talk about?
Talks about what you're trying to get accomplished. You're getting people into the funnel, getting people to your leads.
So what he talks about is he tries to educate you and install the belief that funnels are the most effective way to get customers online. Okay? Funnels are the most effective way to get customers online. Because if you believe that belief, you buying ClickFunnels is a natural byproduct of that belief installation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure does.
Right? But but the way he would install that belief about sales funnels is by helping you see why your online marketing efforts didn't work in the past through your website or through whatever you were trying to do, and how funnels is gonna make it different.
If folks want to get connected with you, Cole, or check out what you guys have to offer, what's the best way for them to go about doing so?
Yeah, our website is closers.io.
Money in the bank, man. That was Cole Gordon. If you want to find more information about him and Closers, you can find that information in the show notes. Just tell him that you heard him on the Sales Evangelist podcast. I know he would appreciate that. If you're looking for your next role, you can go connect with them and see if they can help you with it. And also, if you're just trying to improve your sales skills, he's a great resource, as well as many other places that he, obviously he talks about that, and you can get some great resources here as well. Find all the information in the show notes. As always, listen, I want you to thrive and succeed. I bring on folks like Cole because they bring a lot of value. I want you to know your worth. I want you to, when you meet with your prospect, to know how to have those great conversations that move things forward, like Cole shared today. I want you to be able to close more deals, but most importantly, I want you to take advantage of these things. I want you to apply the things from our sponsors, and as they're giving you amazing value, I want you to raise your level of thinking, and I want you to go out and do big things. Thanks so much for watching.